Assalamu alaikum class. Today we will learn about disaster management. Disaster management seeks to reduce risk to damages or losses from disaster. First, we learn about disaster. Disaster is divided into two major parts: natural disaster and man-made disaster. Both are also divided into two different categories: major disaster and minor disaster. Here is some examples of natural disaster: cyclone, fire, flood, earthquake, and drought. We all know about all these types of natural disaster. And second one, man-made disaster, also very harmful and its tragic example is Bhopal gas tragedy, which is occurred on 2nd December 1984. It's also known the night of death. Now we study natural disaster types: biological disaster, geological disaster, hydrological disaster, meteorological disaster, and climatological disaster. In natural disaster, tectonic disaster is reason of earthquake and volcanic eruption, etc. Next is geological disaster. Landslide and mudslide are examples of geological disaster. Recently, we have seen an example of landslide in Kedarnath. Then, meteorological disaster, which occurred by water and snow. Last in natural disaster is biological disaster, which directly affected on human health. Now, next type is anthropology or man-made disaster, which are done by human activities like accidents, plane crash, and gas tragedy of Bhopal in 1984. Now students, in next video we see all types of disaster like waves, earthquake, fires, climatic change, the tsunami, cyclones, forest fire, high water amount, ice melting, danger waves, earthquake, loss of property, volcanic eruption, fire, lightning, and mostly floods. Floods like in Mumbai and in recently Kerala. Floods destroy humans' life and destroy our economic also. Now we talk about human disaster. Human disaster, especially industrial accident, transportational accident, nuclear accident, violence, etc. Forest fire also a man-made disaster. These are some examples and pictures that how all humans survive from this condition. They lost their lives, properties, families, and many more. But today it's not stopped yet. Every problem is increase and play with humans' life. But it's also correct that humans are responsible for increasing in disaster ratio. The disaster can bring lot of immediate and long-term effect on various sectors of our society: primary effect, secondary effect, and tertiary effect. Primary effect occur as a result of the disaster itself, for example damage during a flood or collapse of buildings. Secondary and tertiary both are depend on primary effects. Now we learn about what is the disaster management. In every country, some organization work for secure people from disaster. For example, in India, the National Management Authority, India. This authority help people and follow disaster management cycle. They always therefore help people to rescue them from unsafe and destroy places. This type of organization and authorities provide food, medical facilities to needed peoples. Members of disaster management always give their best for save our lives and always ready to help and come forward for help people. GIS and GPS also play an important role to rescue people from different disasters.